So I just want to tell you that if you're coming to this podcast and you're thinking, I really just don't have friends and I really don't know if I want to hear a podcast about friendship and different kinds of friends that I should be having, I just want to encourage you that the person who is talking to you gets it. I see you and I understand, and I want you to keep listening, to just hear me out on this one, okay? Do you ever wonder, how am I going to make it through to bedtime? How will I make it to the weekend? Or how will I ever get through this long, hard season with my kids? If you're a mom, you've likely asked those questions over and over again. Hi, I'm Sarah Short. I'm a busy mom of 5 kids, and after almost 2 decades of parenting and asking myself those same questions, I'm here to share with you some of the best ways to navigate through your days as a mom. From life with a newborn, to toddlers, to teenagers, and everything in between, I'll teach you how to walk through every season of motherhood with courage and creativity, and come out on the other side smarter and wiser, all while creating great relationships with your kids and a home life you love. My Nana once told me, there's no way but through. Turns out she was right, in life and in motherhood. So throw your hair in a messy bun, grab your coffee, and come have a seat as we talk about all things mom. This is the No Way But Through podcast. Hello, and welcome back into the No Way But Through podcast. So glad you're here with me today. I feel like I'm really getting to know some of you in our interactions over on Instagram, and that has been really sweet for me as just an unexpected gift that coming on this podcast every week has given me. And that's you guys. You have me rolling with laughter with some of the stuff that you send me, and also with your tears and your questions and frustrations. You just have me all in my feelings, and I just remember where you were, and your stories have just been, I have loved hearing your stories. I love interacting with you. And so just another reminder that if you aren't yet part of our community on Instagram, I'd love for you to come over and join us, because that is really where I spend my time during the week around this podcast and discussing things about it and sharing. And so head on over there and join us if you haven't yet. I also want to mention that you can financially support this podcast. I don't get paid anything from anybody for coming on here each week, but if you would like to support my work here, either on a monthly basis or just a one-time gift that you'd like to give, you can do that in the link in the show notes of this podcast. I was so excited when I got my first monthly supporter several weeks ago. And it is really such a gift to me when you financially support me, because it enables me to continue to do this and to continue working on this podcast. So thank you so much for those of you that already support me. And just a quick reminder that if you didn't know you could do that, you can. This week, we're going to talk about friendship again. The most listened to episode on this podcast so far is episode 3, and that's the episode I recorded titled 4 Ways to Know Someone is For You. I continue to get messages about that episode and how it has affected different ones of you and affected different people who have heard it, and that it's really helping you all process what it looks like to have friends and what it looks like to have friends who are for you. Because as I mentioned in that episode, a friend and a friend who is for you are not necessarily the same thing. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode, I would really encourage you to do that first, to go back and listen to that one, because I build a little bit on that. On this episode, I build on that one. So I would really encourage you to go back and listen to that one first. Today, I'm going to talk to you about 5 different kinds of friends that you need in your life. And there are a couple of things I want to say to you before I go into what those 5 different kinds of friends are. First, I have had every one of these kinds of friends. I am not talking about this in a kind of ideal type situation where if everything is perfect in the world and everything's perfect in your life, these are the 5 kind of friends you're going to have. Because nothing is ever going to be perfect in the world and nothing is ever going to be perfect in your life. And if you are old enough to even be listening to a podcast, then you know that everything is never perfect in friendship. I'm never going to come on here and speak to you in ideals, because speaking in ideals really isn't helpful, right? The older I get, the more I learn that anything revolving around relationships is messy and complex. And reaching for ideals, well, that can leave us really jaded and really discouraged. I am telling you about these 5 different kinds of friends because I have had all of these kinds of friends in my real, actual, messy, not perfect life. There are some seasons when I have had all of them at the same time. And there are some seasons in my life when I have been incredibly lonely, especially in seasons of motherhood. And I felt like I didn't have any friends at all. When we moved out to the Midwest, after we'd been married for 4 years and had a 1-year-old, and I was pregnant with my second son, we moved to Michigan, and I did not have one single friend there. Not one. I didn't even know anybody that lived in the state of Michigan. Jason had some colleagues that he'd gotten to know over the years on business trips and sales conferences and times that he had traveled out to that office for work and things like that. But I didn't know a single one of them, and I didn't know any of their wives. I didn't even know anyone, like I mentioned, that was from Michigan. And when he first told me that he had applied for a position that was in Michigan, I actually got on my computer, because we didn't have iPhones then, and looked up how far Michigan was from Baltimore, where we were living at the time, because I didn't know if Michigan was 5 hours away or 25 hours away. When we moved there, I had no friends there. And we didn't have social media, and we didn't have FaceTime. And the only way that we could communicate was either on the phone with a phone call or via email. I know this dates me, but it is really important for me to tell you right here at the beginning that if you are struggling in friendship right now, like almost everyone is that I know, or you feel like you don't have any friends at all, that I get it. I have been there. Did I have friends back east when we moved out to Michigan? Yes. But they lived 12 hours away, and it is hard even now to maintain relationships like that. And it's so much easier now because of all of the technology we have in social media and the different ways we have to connect. So I just want to tell you that if you're coming to this podcast and you're thinking, I really just don't have friends, and I really don't know if I want to hear a podcast about friendship and different kinds of friends that I should be having, I just want to encourage you that the person who is talking to you gets it. I see you and I understand. And I want you to keep listening, to just hear me out on this one, okay? Because what I'm going to share with you, I think will help you and empower you. And it might open up some doors to friendship that you didn't even know were there because of what I'm going to share with you today. So hang in here with me, okay? Those of you listening that are very rich in friendship, first of all, you have an incredible gift. There are people who don't have any friends, or who have very few and really, really struggle to understand why. So if you are blessed with a whole bunch of friends, then you have incredible gifts in those friendships. And what I'm going to talk to you about today, you will probably understand and relate to a lot of this very well. But I also hope that this will challenge you, those of you who are rich in friendship, to think about ways that you can encourage your friends in friendship and to really give you some new perspectives on thinking about friendship, because it could be that one or two of these kinds of friends you don't have in your life, and it may be something great for you to begin to seek out because of the enrichment that it will bring to your life. So here's how I want you to think through what I'm sharing with you today in these 5 different kinds of friends. What I want you to hear today is that I want you to have these different kinds of friends throughout your journey as a mom, and to be open to how you can be these different kinds of friends to others. I want your eyes to be open to these kinds of friendships and have some words to describe them and be able to identify them when you see them or when they come into your life. What I am not saying is that you need to go on a mission right now, today, and find all of these friends and frantically try to build them into your life. That is not what I'm saying. I want you to be able to take this podcast with these 5 different kinds of friends and be able to say, oh gosh, she is that kind of friend to me. And this girl over here, she is this kind of friend to me. And to hear from an older mom, me, how these different kinds of friendships can really enrich your life. And to be open to new kinds of friendships that you maybe never thought of, and how you can both love each other well. And mostly, what I want you to do is think about yourself. I want you to think about the kind of friend you are and can be to others. I love to stop and look at my life and friendships and tell my friends who they are to me and what they mean to me, and encourage them and thank them and be grateful to them for who they are in my life. But so much of the work is on me, right? I want to be a better friend. I want to be the kind of friend that other people are grateful for and love. And I want to bring goodness and light and love into the lives of my friends. And so as you're thinking through this, I want you to think about the kind of friend that you are and how you can be this kind of friend to others. Okay? All right, let's dive in. 5 friends all moms need. Number 1. The same stage friend. You need friends who are in it with you right where you are. They have the same age kids and they're dealing with the same stuff. These are often friends that were in your wedding, or that you met shortly after you got married or moved to a new city, and you were then pregnant at the same time together, or maybe you were party friends before you had kids. You live in the same part of town and do stuff together all the time. You meet at the park for park dates because you have to get out of the house. And Chick-fil-A is your post-park restaurant of choice. Same stage friends want to meet for play dates and park dates, and they don't care if your family room is trashed with toys, because theirs is too, and when they come over, their kids are going to trash it anyway. These kind of friends, same stage friends, they give your kids built-in regular friends. And I cannot even tell you how much my young mom, same stage friends meant to me back when I had babies, and how much my friends in my stage of life mean to me now. We've since traded conversations about what diapers don't leak, for who makes their kids pay for gas. But throughout my entire 2 decades of being a mom, I have always loved and needed friends in my same stage of life and motherhood. Erica, Heather, Leslie, Courtney, Veronica, Julie, Those are just a few names of same-stage friends that are God's good gifts to me and have been for a long time. They get it when I call, and I don't have to explain much. They just know what I'm talking about. And we have all cried, all laughed, and all rolled our eyes at a million mom things. And they are gold to me. Some of these friends are my friends because our kids are friends. And I love that my kids, just by being my kids, have given me friends. Same-stage friends know where we are. They know what we're dealing with. And when you tell a same-stage friend that your 3-year-old drew with Sharpie all over the grandparents' sofa, coffee table, carpet, and walls while you were passed out from newborn exhaustion, ask me how I know this happens. They text back all the cry-laughing emojis, and then your phone rings, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, for real? Are you okay?" They get it, and they get you. Same-stage friends are so important in motherhood. Number 2, the mentor mom friend. I don't know what on earth I would do without the moms that have braved this path before me and are willing to love and teach and care for me. I have had many of these kinds of friends over the years, and when I'm in a season that I don't have one of them, which I have been in seasons where I don't have one of them, I miss it and I feel their absence. Mentor mom friends have been where I've been, and they are seasons and years ahead of me, and I need their wisdom. These friends have made me the mom I am today in so many ways. They have been and are my actual friends, not just vessels of info and wisdom. They have been my girls, maybe 20 years older than me, but my girls. I have told you in past episodes about my friends Jan and Mercy. They threw me my baby shower when I had Jack 19 years ago, and both of them had kids in their teens at the time. They taught me how to be a new mom because they'd both done it and both been there. They helped me know what to let go of and what to cling to, what to do when I was overwhelmed, and they would hold my baby and let me fall asleep on their sofa for an hour when I was so sleep deprived I thought I was gonna die. Once we moved away from Baltimore and went to Michigan, my friend Joni became this to me. She and her husband Russ, who worked with my husband, invited us over, and I will never forget when she went to her attic and pulled out a Rubbermaid bin of baby toys and games for my little 1-year-old Jack. "I saved these for just a time like this," she told me. And you know what? I now have a Rubbermaid bin in my attic with baby toys I've saved for when mamas bring their babies over to my house. I pulled things out when our parenting group was here this past summer because Joni taught me how to love a young mom this way. My friend Tony took me to coffee one day in 2018, and her kids were all married. Her youngest was getting married at the time, and the life and wisdom she has poured into me, I still can't get over it. She is the one that made me brave enough to start having people into my home and open my Bible and heart to teach them. Our parenting group that I've shared with you, the one I was just talking about with the bin of toys, Tony made me brave to do that. Mentor mom friends have perspective. They have hard-won wisdom, and they often have time. They have time for you. They've raised their kids, and maybe their kids have moved away to start their own lives, and they know who they are and they have their group of friends. But you bring a freshness and newness to their lives, and they get to pour out what they know and what they've learned. And it is an absolute win for both of you. Number 3, the friend a stage or two behind you. Yes, you. Young mama with littles running around, you have so much to offer in friendship to someone just behind you in life. This can be a mom friend who just had her first baby, or someone quite a few stages behind you, a teenage girl, a college friend, but someone that is where you've been and you have wisdom of your own to share. I mentioned in last week's episode that pouring into others and sharing what you know to help others will fill your cup. Even your coffee to the brim, so tired and trying to get through every day cup. Pouring into someone else will fill your cup in ways being served by others never can. You can have amazing, like you, same stage mentor mom friends. And if you aren't returning that to someone else in some way, then you are missing out on so much. You also give hope to these kinds of friends. Maybe they dream of being a mom one day and having kids just like yours because they love your kids, and watching you live out a dream they have gives them hope for what could be or may be in their own lives. When I was newly married, there was a young teenage girl that I had come to love through being her teacher in VBS when she was 5 years old, which, if you don't know what VBS is, it is a week-long summer church camp type thing for kids that meets for a couple hours for a week in the mornings or in the evenings. Anyway, I would take her to the mall and take her shopping, and we would talk about all the hard friendships she was dealing with at school, and mean girls, and clothes, and why labels on your jean pockets mattered to her, and why they didn't matter to me. And I remember feeling like $1,000,000 because she looked up to me. And now she is a mama with 2 little boys of her own. And those years when I would spend time with her when she was a young teen were so sweet for both of us. I have loved getting messages from her over the years about being a mom because I was there with her when she was a teenager and wanted to be a mom. And now she is. God was so good to give her to me back then. And I could have been going to the mall with one of my peers, with one of my girlfriends. But going with Stacy, I loved it, and I loved her, and going to the mall with her and treating her to some good Chinese food and a new shirt at American Eagle filled me and blessed me and changed me in the very best ways. Number 4, the not a mom friend. I might need these friends more than they need me. A friend I went to college with, a high school friend, a divorced friend, single friends, friends in my life who aren't moms, but my same age or close to it. These friends are my girls. They help me remember who I was before I became a mom. Some of these friends have been in my life a long time, and they remind me that once upon a time, I loved to shop, that I loved to go out for a drink and check out cute guys, and remind me that I used to bare my very flat belly and dance in front of mirrors and under disco balls at clubs, and that I could throw back a vodka Collins with the best of them. I was a whole person and had a whole life before I became a mom. And these friends remind me of that. And not just my friends from my partying single days. I still have friends in my life like this today. Single friends like my friend Emily. Every time I'm with her, we talk about things I never get to talk about with my mom friends. She stretches me in my faith and reminds me that there is this whole world out there that isn't about kids doing chores or whether or not I should let my kids use Snapchat. She can tell me about all the lingo my teens are using and things to look out for. And I get to share the personal about me, about Sarah, not mom, things that I'm struggling with or working out. I think she helps me more than I ever help her. She loves my kids, cheers for them, cries when good things happen to them, and she loves me, and I adore her. She's not a mom, but she is my true friend, and she is just one of many examples I could share with you of friendships I've had over the last 20 years of being a mom with women who were not moms, but were absolute gifts to me. And I can say this with confidence. Welcoming these friends into my life and home and into my heart was such a gift to them too. I love having friends who aren't moms and who give me perspective on things that my mom glasses can sometimes really blind me to. And this leads me to number 5, the last one. The nothing like me mom friend. This can be a friend in any stage, but who is also a mom. When it comes to motherhood, things are not always black and white. In fact, almost nothing in motherhood is black and white. You need friends who are nothing like you, or at least make very different choices, very different parenting choices and life choices than you make. My friends who are not like me make my life so much richer, fuller, and more colorful and fun. It's such a gift to get to love, like really love and truly be friends with someone, another mom, who makes completely different choices than I make. And yet, here we are, cheering for each other and respecting each other and letting our kids see that we can love and respect people who are different from us because they see their moms modeling it. I have rich and real and true relationships with friends who do not share my faith, and that is core to who I am. I have friends who share my faith, but have chosen things completely differently than I've chosen, like to school their kids. They school their kids completely differently than we do over here. So much of family life is lived out at school and becomes central to who we are and how we spend our time. But some of my best friends' kids don't go to a school anything like my kids' schools. But I go to their kids' games, and when their kids are in plays or musicals, I cannot wait to buy tickets. Why? Because we are friends. The choices you make about schooling can be very polarizing, but it doesn't have to be this way. We can love people and be close friends with people who make completely different choices than we do. One of my friends, she sends her kids to the same schools my kids go to, but she makes wildly different choices than I do in how they spend their time, their money, and the boundaries she has for her kids are very different than ours. She doesn't go to church, and she wants nothing to do with church. But she loves me, and I love her. And we are good friends. And the conversations we've had challenge me and change me and make me better. In some ways, she firms up in me what I believe and makes me stronger in my own beliefs about things. And in others, she makes me really question why I'm doing some of the things I'm doing. If you surround yourself with only friends who are all like you, think like you, look like you, talk like you, act like you, and they school like you, and they believe what you believe, then you will end up in an echo chamber where nothing you think or believe ever gets challenged. We all need friends who challenge us to think differently. If all of your friends are the same as you, believe the same things you believe, and act the same way you act, and their kids all go to the same school and church that your kids go to, then you will end up picking each other apart over the dumbest stuff. You'll nitpick all of the petty things that you're all doing and your kids are doing, and you will end up fighting about stupid stuff that doesn't matter, like what bathing suits girls are wearing, and if you'll pull your kids out of school for a vacation, and who's letting their kids eat junk food, and who's nursing and who isn't in the baby years. This only becomes exacerbated in our kids' older years. Who's allowed to date and who's not allowed to date, and at what age, and who has Snapchat, and who got invited to what and who didn't, because you're all the same in the core decisions you've made. Because of that, there's this invisible agreement that everyone should be doing things the same, and so you argue and nitpick about stuff that doesn't matter. What will happen in these kind of situations is that your kids are watching. Your kids will be watching you. They are watching the way you nitpick and criticize each other and surmise that there's some kind of invisible standard that people should be living up to. Because even though everyone in your life is so much alike, it seems the expectation is that everyone be the same. Going back to the 3rd episode of this podcast, 4 ways to know someone is for you, you begin to place unspoken expectations on each other without even realizing it. And the tragedy in having only friends who are just like you is that you can unintentionally end up sending out into the world newly minted adults who feel like their primary purpose in friendship is to surround themselves with people just like them and to treat everybody else who isn't like them like either a project that needs to be reformed or not like them enough to be respected and not gossiped about. You don't want this, and I don't want this for you. It is so important that you have friends, real friends, who are in your same stage of life and parenting that aren't like you. These friends give you perspective on what matters. I don't really care what my friends who don't share my faith are letting their girls wear if I'm trying to show the love of Jesus to them and love them as they are. Their souls matter a whole lot more to me than my standards. And having friends who are different than me makes me a better person, a better mom, a better friend, and a better follower of Jesus. And I want to say this here before we close out. I have heard people say, Jesus is the only friend you need. And this is just not it. Jesus had friends. He needed his friends to pray with and for him when he was suffering. And he had friends that walked through life with him. And did they fail him? Yes, they did. He is the only perfect friend. But you need friends. You need people around you who love you and cheer for you and are there for you. No one wants to be out here braving it alone, especially moms. We need friends. You need friends. And I want you to have these kinds of friends and to be these kinds of friends to the people in your life now and the ones that maybe now become your friends because of what you've heard here today. So, 5 friends all moms need: the same stage friend, the mentor mom friend, the friend a stage or two behind you, the not a mom friend, and the nothing like me friend. I have had all of these kinds of friends, and gosh, I am so, so grateful for each time I've had one of these friends and for the names that I think about even now as I'm sitting here podcasting this. I want you to have a life that is full of friendship and joy and color, and for you to be encouraged and blessed as a mom. And I want you to be that for others too. I want you to be an amazing friend to all of these different kinds of people on your own journey through motherhood, and I want other people to get to be your friend too. You just finished another episode of the No Way But Through podcast. If you want to connect with other like-minded moms, head over to the No Way But Through page on Instagram. And if you'd like to help financially support our work over here at No Way But Through, there's a link at the bottom of the description of this podcast on how you can do just that. And click follow and subscribe so that you will get alerts every time we drop a new episode.